Hello friends, it's Greg here on the Blue Feather Ephemera channel. I have an eBay store by the same name where I sell vintage magazine print advertising, and every week I make a video to show you what's sold in my store. This past week I sold 16 ads for a total of $231.55. Among those are some very special ads that I can't wait to talk about. Also, each week we cover a bonus topic. This week's bonus topic is called Don't Let Them Forget. And I'm just going to be discussing with you ways that you can help buyers remember that when they bought ads from you, you provided great service and an excellent product. So stay tuned for that. First, let's take a look at those ads. The first sale of the week was this nice full color, full page ad from Pictorial Review Magazine, 1927. The product here is Royal Baking Powder, and in the keywords here, I put Roaring 20s Flapper Girl style because I thought those might catch some attention. But in the detail of the illustration, you can see these ladies wearing their Flapper Girl style dresses and the men in their formal dress. And she's got a pan of biscuits, and this devil's food cake is sitting on the table. Down at the bottom, it says Devil's Food Cake, the most popular cake in America. So this was in 1927, and I'm thinking 100 years later, Devil's Food Cake might still be the most popular cake in America. But anyway, here's a close-up of those light, fluffy biscuits. And this caught my attention too. It says Royal Baking Powder is made with pure cream of tartar. For 50 years, the cream of tartar for Royal has been imported. And cream of tartar, I didn't know this until 5 minutes ago, is made from grapes. I would guess that's why this Royal Baking Powder Company, when they've put their red can logo in this ad, they've put a bunch of grapes behind it, is probably because of that cream of tartar ingredient. It says it leaves no bitter taste. Now, cream of tartar, I've only ever had one use for it, and that's in meringues for pies. I've not read closely on other baking powder cans to see if they include cream of tartar as an ingredient. But anyway, that's a discussion for another day. 1877 was the original price on this ad. I sold it 30% off. It's on its way to Delaware. Anytime there's a great ad from the World War II years, I'm always quick to point it out. And here's another one. This is Acme Steel Company, Chicago, and it talks about their banding and strapping products that can be used for shipping by rail. And in the detail of the ad here, let me zoom in a couple of different ways. It talks about how when things are properly baled, bundled, boxed, and all of that, it makes trains so much easier to load and unload, which makes for better efficiency for shipping war materials. And it says during World War I, Acme Steel Strap provided proper reinforcement for countless shipments, has continually been protecting merchandise for both civilian and defense needs. Acme Steel Company. So a real cool ad here. This is about 2/3 of a page. I'll show you the dimensions here. It's roughly 14 inches by almost 8 inches. That's about 2/3 of a page. And this ran in Fortune magazine, 1941. I sold it for $14.77, and it's on its way to Michigan. All right. Now, this is the fifth take on this car advertisement here because I get to talking about these old cars and I just can't quit. But this appeared in Look magazine, 1939, and this is for Chevrolet for 1939. This particular car that it's showing is the Master Deluxe Sports Sedan, and I'm going to zoom in and just kind of focus on the style of that car right there. Let me do that a different way. I'll zoom that way and then this way, and you can get a better look. But this car has that classic styling from the 1930s. It has the big fenders and the bulbous headlights. And then the doors are suicide doors. It's got the front door that hinges at the front and the rear door that hinges at the rear. Just a fantastic looking automobile there. And what I've got to cut out from my previous edits is all of that detail in the paragraphs there. Basically, they're just carrying on about the quality of the cars. And I know that you don't want me to read that. But anyway, 1877 is what I charged for this ad right here from Look Magazine 1939. It's on its way to California. This ad right here, I've been waiting for months to talk about. I sold it this week, so now I have a chance to talk about it. Um, if you're my age, mid 50s or a little bit older, you probably remember this fella, seeing him on TV and in ads like this one. Um, you may recall seeing him, even if you're somewhat younger, you may remember this Keep America Beautiful ad campaign. In this picture, if I could zoom in any more and keep it clear, you'd see that, like on his cheek right here, he shed a tear. Always a single tear in these commercials and ads, a single tear. He's sad about the state of the environment in America. And all of this ad campaign is about keeping America beautiful. And in this ad, it talks about recovering a garbage heap and turning it into a garden. And that happened in California because enough people cared. Now, I'm going to go back to my first eBay sales page here, and we'll talk about who he is. It says Iron Eyes Cody. He was known as the Crying Indian after doing these commercials. And again, the ad campaign, Keep America Beautiful. This ad ran in Classic Magazine 1975, and I sold it for $21.77. Now, on this ad, let's dig a little deeper. Switching back to the mugshot here, just briefly, I'm going to talk about his career in movies and television because before he did this ad campaign, or probably why he was selected for this ad campaign, is because since 1927, he had portrayed Indians or Native Americans in film and TV work for all those decades. Back to 1927, a movie called Back to God's Country. He played an Indian in that movie, and then as far as the career goes, he never looked back. He played in Paleface with Bob Hope in 1948. As a matter of fact, I have an advertisement for that movie up in my store right now for sale. He played Geronimo. He played Chief Yellowstone. In two different movies, he played Crazy Horse. In 1970, he played an Apache chief named Santana. And then he got into some comedy movies. In 1970, he played Crazy Foot in a movie called Cockeyed Cowboys of Calico County. In 1987, in his final film role, he played an old Indian named Chief St. Cloud in Ernest Goes to Camp. Then there's all the TV work that he did, including appearances on Rawhide, Mr. Ed, the Lucy and Desi Comedy Hour, The Virginian, Fantasy Island, Bob Newhart Show, and then his last appearance on TV was in an episode of the A-Team. He played Chief Watachi. So, a fantastic career in TV and film in all of these Native American roles. Now, as you might expect, because of all of that great work in the film and TV industries, he was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1983. And things were great. His work kind of ended in the late 80s there. But now I get to do my Paul Harvey bit and tell you the rest of the story. It came out in 1996. There was an article published that stirred up a little bit of controversy. It turns out that a reporter disclosed that Iron Eyes Cody, who not only in his public life but also in his private life, always portrayed himself as of Native American heritage. It turns out a reporter found out that his real name was Espera Oscar de Corte, and he hailed from a small town in Louisiana, and his parents were first generation Italian immigrants exclusively of Sicilian heritage. So this fellow, Iron Eyes Cody, who was the quintessential American Indian for decades, ended up being an Italian American. So it was controversial, but at the same time, I don't say that to detract from his body of work. He was a fantastic actor and was great in all of those roles that I talked about. But it is interesting how that cultural appropriation really worked out for him. So just an interesting thing to share there. Anyway, this ad sold again $21.77. It's on its way to New York. Next up, I've got a pair of ads that went to one buyer, and it's a repeat customer. And they both came from the same magazine, Radio and Television News, 1955. This first one is for a Sangamo Type 36 paper capacitor, and this company is based in Marion, Illinois. And that capacitor is just something you use in radio or television electronics. This ad sold for $12.77. And the other ad to that buyer is for this soldering gun here from Stewart Electronics. And that's a place based in Easton, Pennsylvania. I'll show you some of the detail here. This soldering gun is called the Weller Junior. And it's kind of funny. The soldering gun back in 1955 was only $7.95, but the ad for it sold for $12.77 in 2024. So that was the price I got for them. They're both on their way to Alabama. Now, my friend Marty over at the Jiminy Flip It channel, he's fond of saying that Halloween and Christmas sell all year. And he had proof of that this past week when he did a short video that featured a really, really nice Halloween ad that he sold. So I think it's neat that I also get to feature a holiday ad here with this Christmas sale. This is for Noma Electric Corporation, and they make, of course, Christmas lights and other things for Christmas decorations. And they've got a baby in a Santa outfit here, and specifically that baby is holding a bubble light, and it shows a set of bubble lights there in the ad, and I'll zoom in on that a little bit. But bubble lights were really popular in the mid-century, and then they kind of fell out of favor during the 70s and 80s, but they came back around in the 90s, and different companies started making them for, I guess, for nostalgia's sake, and we're big on nostalgia here in the vintage print ad business. So anyway, just a real fun looking ad here. Noma Lights, and I've got some other Noma actually in a different eBay store. I've got Noma Lights up for sale that are blow mold covers for these light bulb sets. Anyway, they made a bunch of stuff. You don't hear about them anymore, I don't think, but they're stuff from the mid-century back in the 1940s, 50s, 60s. Really, really cool, high quality Christmas decorations. That's why I put $21.77 on this ad, and I stuck to my guns. I had so many watchers on this, on and off. I took it down, I relisted it, and I saw some others like it. Don't get me wrong, there were others that sold, but I stuck to my guns on price. I did. I mean, obviously, I'm running a 10% off promotion in my store right now, so somebody got it for $2.17 less than $21.77. But the long story short, I kind of stuck to my guns on the price there. And this appeared in Look magazine from 1948, $21.77. It's on its way to South Carolina. Here's something I wanted to share with you. It's a Vaseline hair tonic ad from Saturday Evening Post, 1952, and it's got this young couple here, and the young lady recommended that he get some Vaseline hair tonic to treat his dry scalp, and so uh, I'll zoom in on this just a little bit though, because I want to show you that down here at the bottom of the page, you can see there that there's some pink discoloration down there at the bottom. And I just wanted to show you how I dealt with that in the listing. When you go down to the item description here, uh, I just put a condition note. There's pink discoloration due to color bleed at the bottom of the page. So that's all I did. I brought it to the buyer's attention. The information is in there, and I was still able to sell a nice ad for $8.77. Of course, 10% off. It went to Utah, and I just got good feedback on it earlier this evening. They're happy with the ad and the service, and so it's a win-win there, even though there's a little bit of condition issue on the ad. Here's a small advertisement from National Aeronautics Magazine, 1984. The company is HAL Aviation Flight Instruction, and it's based in Malden, Missouri. And they can train you to fly fixed or rotary wing aircraft, single engine, multi engine. They can train you to be a certified flight instructor for only $15,418 and a nickel in 4 to 5 months. Um, they can train you to be a commercial pilot. You can get your instrument ratings and all kinds of stuff that this guy does. But I thought it was kind of funny. He's got over 8 years of experience. And I mean, 8 years, I don't know if I'd be bragging about 8 years, but 8 years it is. Down at the bottom of the text here, it says, show us any recognized school that beats this deal, and I will buy you the best steak in town. So it crossed my mind to wonder, did he ever have to buy any steaks or not? But anyway, this small ad went back to Missouri for $8.77. I remember saying in a video just 3 or 4 weeks ago that it surprises me when an advertisement that's selling art sells, because I can see buying art and I can see buying ads, but ads for art, I don't know why my brain can't process it, but I'm so glad that there's a market out there for ads like these. Looking at this detail, this is called Forgos Greatest Race. So apparently there's a horse called Forgo, and this fella named Richard Stone Reeves painted a picture of the Marlboro Cup race. And, it's beautifully done, and somebody is really going to appreciate that when they get it. This appeared in Classic Magazine from 1977, and I sold it for $16.77. It's on its way to New Jersey. Here's an awesome ad from 1934 with a little bit of interesting history. This ran in the Farmer's Wife magazine, and it's about Listerine, how it kills germs. So Listerine is a safe antiseptic to treat colds and sore throats. This article is about a island in the United Kingdom called St. Kilda, and it's about 40 miles off the Scottish coast. The folks that lived there had the industry of raising sheep on the island. They would shear the sheep, they would spin the wool, and then they would weave the wool into different cloths and things, and then sell that from the island. The folks lived on fish and bird eggs and some other stuff that I read about. All that's not mentioned in the article, but I went and read about it. Well, then, come to find out, this article ran in 1934. When I was reading the background of it, the island was actually permanently abandoned August 29th, 1930. So About 4 years before the ad ran, people had decided they just couldn't live there anymore and make a go of it because the population had dwindled. People kept moving away, and it got to the point where they couldn't maintain their industry, which was the reason for being there, and do what they needed to do to feed themselves and all of that. So they abandoned the island. Now it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it has a population of over 1 million birds, including English puffins. And so the island without people on it is a thriving place for critters. As I've said many times, I rarely comp ads, but I did comp this ad where I went looking for comps. There wasn't any other of these ads available. And after I went, that kind of piqued my interest. After I went and read some of the history, uh, that's why I put it up at $21.99. It sold. This ad sold within about 2 hours, which had me thinking maybe I should have charged 28 or 35, or put the price on up there because it is a fascinating history. But regardless, it fetched a great price, and I'm happy with the sale. And that was $21.77, by the way. This is going to a lucky buyer in New York. Here's a nice watch ad that I sold this week. And I won't stop saying watch ads sell good for me. I don't know if that's true for everybody or not, but I sell a lot of watch ads. This one is for Goobelin, and it says it's a elegant solid gold men's watch from 1958 when this ad ran in New Yorker magazine. And I'm going to show you the size. It's a small ad, barely 3 inches by not quite 6 inches. And because it's a watch, I put a little bit of premium on it just because, they are selling good. Normally, I would charge $677 for an ad this size, but I got $877 for this. Again, New Yorker magazine, and it's on its way to Texas. This Fostoria Crystal ad was a fun one for me to see and to sell because when I got my start on eBay about 6 or 8 years ago, I didn't know that I could love something more than I loved mid century glass. And so I've handled a lot of Fostoria. Then vintage magazines, old magazines, and vintage print ads came along, and I discovered there is something I love more than that glass. But I had a sense of nostalgia kind of handling the ad and, seeing this advertisement. What you've got here is a fashion flair line of products, including a punch bowl and cups, and also this decanter here that the lady's holding. And it shows a lot of that mid-century influence from the Mediterranean and Persia, the Near East, I guess they call it. But that's back during the years. I don't know what kicked off the trend. Maybe it was Lawrence of Arabia. Maybe that movie got everybody interested in that region. Maybe it was something else, but the story of Aladdin's lamp and 1001 Arabian Nights and I Dream of Jeannie, all that kind of stuff was big in the mid-century. So anyway, a fun ad to see, and I sold it for $12.77. It ran in House and Garden magazine, 1957, and it's on its way to Tennessee. This ad is just a simple battery ad from a company called Automatic Battery Company of America, ABCO, based in Goldsboro, North Carolina. This is an ad from 1959, and it ran in the True Automotive Yearbook. And by that, I mean True Magazine. Uh, they billed themselves as the magazine for men, and it was mostly guy stuff in the magazine. But every year they had a special edition devoted to cars, and so that one edition per year was called the True Automotive Yearbook. This battery ad was in it, and in here they're just pitching their batteries. batteries for cars, trucks, tractors, and marine batteries. The buyer for this is located in Goldsboro, North Carolina. So this ad is going back to its hometown for $8.77. This is an ad that a lot of different people can like for different reasons. For the celebrity interest, you've got the celebrity endorsement of Tom Selleck here. For car people, you've got the Ferrari, and for the health and beauty folks, you've got this Revlon product called Chaz Cologne. And Chaz is sponsoring this sweepstakes. It's $150,000 Grand Prix sweepstakes. You could win a $60,000 Ferrari. Up there it says you could also win an 82 Fiat Turbo Spider, which sounds pretty cool to me. But anyway, this ran in Playboy magazine 1982. And Tom Selleck, at that time he was famous for his role as Magnum PI, the Hawaii detective, and he drove a Ferrari like this one on that TV show. But now in the ad here, he's not dressed out like a Hawaiian. He's decked out more like a Texan with the cowboy boots and the hat, which kind of ties in with what I've been doing this past week. Um, I got on a kick where I wanted to watch some westerns, and before this ad sold, I spent some time earlier in the week watching Tom Selleck westerns, including Crossfire Trail, which is a Louis L'Amour story, a movie called Monty Walsh, and then also there's another one called Last Stand at Saber River. Now, not included in this set of movies I watched, another Tom Selleck. He plays a cowboy, but it's set in Australia, called Quigley Down Under. That's probably one of his most famous westerns. But anyway, that Last Stand at Saber River, based on the Elmore Leonard story, uh, that's kind of interesting because Elmore Leonard, there's a tie to my hometown here, where I was born and raised and live. Uh, Elmore Leonard did a short story called Fire in the Hole that became the basis for the Justified TV story with, U.S. Marshal Raylan Givens um, and all of that. That short story, Fire in the Hole, is set here in Harlan, Kentucky. And so, uh, not the current iteration of Justified that's on TV now, but the first Justified series and the 6 seasons were, for the most part, um, set here in Harlan, even though the filming wasn't done here. Anyway, that's a kind of a neat tie-in for my hometown. $12.77 is what this ad fetched. Again, it ran in Playboy magazine 1982. It's on its way to Nevada. The last ad of the week right here is a really, really cool ad for a lot of reasons. Um, it's an ad for the Royal Typewriter Company, and it's from the World War II era, 1942, Fortune magazine. Now, this ad ran probably within 3 or 4 months of the U.S. entry into World War II. It mentions specifically some government orders that were issued on March the 15th, which is barely 4 months after D-Day. So, what it says here, I kind of want to focus in on this because it's really it gives a real sense of the climate in the country right at the start of the U.S. participation in the war. And it says, like most Americans, we didn't understand what total war means. We had a vague idea that it meant going all out, throwing everything we have into the battlefield. Now we realize that total war means more than that. It means sacrifice, inconvenience, and hard work for each and every one of us. For example, on March the 6th, the government issued an order prohibiting the sale of any typewriter, standard or portable, new, used, or rebuilt, to the general public. Now, that sounds pretty harsh, but it goes on down to say that starting March 15th, portable typewriters will be for military sale only, or military designation, production for the military. And then also beginning March 15th, production of standard typewriters will go specifically to government agencies, the armed forces, or to manufacturers of war supplies. And then what that's going to do, that's going to free up. It says, as a result of these changes, we shall now be able to increase our actual war production, all of the resources of the Royal Typewriter Company, as much as possible of our skilled labor, every available inch of our floor space are being converted to the manufacture of ordnance. And so there's a few more paragraphs here. But look at this picture. It shows this typewriter, but the typewriter is sitting in front of bombs and bullets and artillery shells, mortar shells, hand grenades, and any kind of explosive ordinance that you can think of. That's what the company's going to be doing for the war effort. So, just a really neat thing to see. Now, the other cool thing about this, it was purchased by a viewer. I got a message from a viewer that said that they'd purchased the ad because they wanted to support the channel, but also the buyer is a veteran and they volunteer in a museum, and this ad is going to be framed and hung there in the museum. So, as a result of that buyer's interest, not only do I have the knowledge that this ad imparts, and now you do because we've reviewed it together. But that veteran is going to make this available for thousands of people to see that are going to come through that museum. And I'm just one of those people. If I go into a museum, I want to read everything. I'll be there for days if it's possible. Some people walk through a museum and see stuff, and I realize that folks are different. But this the opportunity for people to see and learn from this and understand what that climate was in the months after Pearl Harbor. That's a very cool thing to be a part of, and that's why I like. That's another reason why I like doing this. Anyway, 23.77 is the price that I put on this ad from Fortune Magazine 1942. It's on its way to South Carolina. All right, I hope you agree with me that those were some great ads. Now we're going to take a look at the bonus topic this week that's called Don't Let Them Forget. And in this part of the video, I'm just going to talk to you about a few things that you might do to keep your customer from forgetting about where it was, who it was from, that they obtained such great vintage print ads. That way, when the time comes and they're ready to shop again, they'll remember you and the product that you provided and the service that you gave, and they'll want to shop with you again. So let's talk about those things. What you're looking at on the screen here is actually a sale that I had go out today. This is a small ad, so it's in one of those postcard type EcoSwift mailers, and it's got the eBay printed label on it, and it's also double marked photographs do not bend, and so that way the post office knows to take extra care with the envelope and not to cram it in the box when it arrives at its destination. That prevents damage, and that lets the customer know that I understand that they want to receive an item that's in good condition. And so uh, those mailers are a little bit rigid. It likely wouldn't be bent, but the additional markings give the buyer confidence that I want them to get an ad that's in good shape. Now, here's a look at the stamp that I used to mark those envelopes with photographs do not bend. I think from the buyer's perspective, they don't care whether it's a stamp or a sticker. They just want to see that you're concerned with the protection of the item they purchased. However, I'll say this: I like the stamps for this purpose, and stickers work just as well. And some people might think stickers look more professional, and I wouldn't disagree with that. I don't know how you feel about them, but I will say that you can spend a lot of money on stickers. This stamp right here, if I remember correctly, this stamp cost me about $8, And for $6 more, I got a bottle of red ink to keep it inked up. And so that's $14 into it. And as many impressions as I've made with that stamp, I would guess I've made somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 or 5 thousand stamp impressions, and I've still got a half bottle of ink left. So I think it's more economical, probably than buying stickers. But like I said, I've got nothing against stickers, and I'm going to prove that in just a minute. Now, here you see just a little bit of a personal touch. For every order that goes out on the shipping label, I stamp it. And the idea of stamps, again, I think stamps are economical. But the other thing is, I've got a nephew whose wife, to earn extra money, she got into that stamping craze about 10 or 15 years ago. And she was creating custom stamp things and making her own stamps and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that was pretty cool. But anyway, I can't make stamps. I had to search for a good while before I found a feather that I liked, and it was combined with, any kind of a message that you wanted to put on there. So I just put a feather and thanks and use blue ink. So now I have blue feathers on all of my shipping labels that go out. And again, it might just help it stand out in somebody's memory, um, and also not just that it is a blue feather, but that this seller cared enough to take an extra minute or two to put the stamp on there, uh, and thank them for their purchase. So that's why I do that. One of these days, by the way, and I'm starting to think that maybe when I hit 500 subscribers or something like that, I might do a kind of a celebration video and disclose where the idea of the blue feather theme comes from, and I might read a passage of literature that would kind of explain that. So that's something to look forward to down the road. Now, I told you I'd have proof that I've got nothing against stickers because I use them, and I use them on every order that's shipped. These stickers come from the eBay shipping supplies that you can get a coupon for when you subscribe to certain levels of an eBay store. These come in, I think, lots of 100 stickers, if I'm not mistaken. And at the basic store level, I think it is, where you get the $25 per quarter to spend on shipping supplies. That will pay for 200 stickers, except for maybe $1 and some change, or maybe it's the applicable tax that it doesn't pay. Anyway, 200 stickers cost me a little over $1, and they ship it by UPS right to you. And so I use that thank you sticker on the back of every order that goes out, and it says, "Thank you for supporting my small eBay business." So also, the back is double stamped with photographs do not bend. Larger ones are stamped 3 or 4 times. And finally, this last thing on screen here, you're looking at the front and the back of business cards that I put inside every order that I ship. I don't put it on the front. I do tape it to the back of the cellophane sleeve. I don't want anything on the front to detract from the customer's first glimpse of the ad that they ordered. And when they pull it up out of the Stay Flat mailer, I just want them to have the impact of that ad, well packed and sleeved. And so the cards go on the back. But anyway, what's on the card at the top is my store logo, and at the bottom is the QR code so that they can scan that and go directly to my store in eBay. On the back is a thing I wrote out, and I use different variations of it depending on the purpose. But it says, if a thing was made, sold, collected, celebrated, or built You can bet it was also advertised. Classic vintage advertising makes great decor for your home. More than 4,800 awesome print advertisements are available right now at Blue Feather Ephemera. And besides these things that I'm doing, I've actually got a couple of other ideas I'll mention. In the eBay shipping supplies that you can order, they also have 4-inch by 5.5-inch thank you cards. They're made kind of like postcards. And on the front, they're in colors. They say thank you. And on the back, there's a printable space. I ordered some of those thinking that I may print my own, but I figured out my laser printer and the toner doesn't work well with the gloss surface on the back. So I may be taking those cards to a local print shop to see if they can help get those set up the way I want them. But basically, all it would say is, I hope you're happy with the purchase. If not, let me know. I'll make it right. If you are, please return to eBay and leave positive feedback if you don't mind, and then have my store name on them. So that's an idea for those cards. And if I use those cards inside the package, then I won't bother with the business card probably. But then the other thing I was thinking about is when it's time to reorder business cards, I'm going to look at the possibility of getting maybe refrigerator magnets instead. Of course, that would be one sided, so I just have the logo and the QR code. That's enough, I'm sure. Um, and that way somebody would have something useful that instead of like tossing in a drawer or tossing in the trash, they could put it on the refrigerator and keep it around that way. So that's an idea I'm thinking of. If you do something different, and I'm not, I won't twist your arm. If you want to keep your store secrets, that's fine. I don't have any secrets, but if you do things that you wouldn't mind to share, if you have good ideas for this type of thing to help your customers keep your store front of mind, so to speak, then if you wouldn't mind to share that and put it in comments, that'd be much appreciated. In the future, if I come up with other ideas, or if people give me permission to share other ideas that they've communicated to me, I'll be putting those in future videos. So make sure to check back for that kind of thing. Uh, for now, that takes care of the topic. Don't let them forget. And now we're going to move on to take a look at the weekly recap screen. All right, as I bring up the weekly recap screen, I do have a regret that there's not a way on here to measure the amount of fun that I had this week in this business and doing what I love. Um, just thinking about things like the communications with the viewers on the channel, the communications with eBay buyers, um, exchanging some information and stories and things like that. I really enjoy. Also, thinking about how these ads tie in to different things like the Tom Selleck westerns that I watched, and then I sold the Tom Selleck ad. Uh, the Elmore Leonard story and how that ties into the Justified TV series in my hometown and all of that. And then you've got that fantastic World War II ad for the typewriter company that really gives a sense of not just the history and what happened, but what it felt like. I think that's something truly amazing. And so I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Now, as far as sales go, down a little bit this week to $231.55 on 16 sales. Did not have any sales to a customer with a surname that matched a business name or the name of a person mentioned in an ad. I did have one ad going back to its hometown, that battery ad from Goldsboro, North Carolina. Did not have any global shipping program sales this week, but I did have one repeat customer that bought two ads. So overall, just a fantastic week, a lot of fun, and I hope that you found it as interesting as I did. And I hope you found it interesting enough to come back and spend a little bit of time with me next week when I'll show you some more great ads. Until next time, have a great week. If you like this video and you want to see more content like this, please hit the thumbs up, share it with a friend, and subscribe to the channel. Also, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time.